The Oklahoma Sooners take on Texas Tech this week in a week where the Red Raiders have experienced mass chaos. The head coach is out. Sonny Cumbie is now the interim head coach, but this game could be really big for the Oklahoma Sooners. It comes at a key time in their season, right before a bye week, right before a really challenging stretch in the month of November, and we've got to break it down. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that the Sooners are going to look to have a strong showing before the bye week? Let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, though small, are massive to content creators such as myself and getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all of that being said, we need to talk about this game because this game could be really big for the Oklahoma Sooners. And before we really get into the ins and outs of the game, I want to talk about the why of that claim, that this game could be big for the Sooners. And simply put, it boils down to confidence. This is a game where Oklahoma on paper should go in there, and based on the talent they have, based on the chaotic week Texas Tech is having, Oklahoma should go in there and handle business come Saturday. And they could look for a really big victory. And what better time to have a showing of a complete 4 quarters of football on offense, on defense, on special teams than the week before a bye week. Get into that bye week with supreme confidence and the ability to try and get some guys healthy. Because as we're going to go through some of the things Oklahoma has struggled with last week and moving into this week, health is a major concern specifically for that Oklahoma defense, and getting some of these guys healthy is going to be huge for the Sooners defense. So playing Texas Tech, a team that has chaos, a team that ranks 70th in the nation in defense right before your bye week, provides you an opportunity not only to get healthy in the bye week, but to enter that bye week with confidence, coming off of a really good win against a conference opponent, especially when you look past the bye week and you have Baylor, you have Iowa State, you have Oklahoma State, 3 ranked opponents, 3 opponents with good defensive play. That's going to be a test. So taking on that test with confidence and with some health is going to be paramount. But now let's really talk about the ins and outs of this game in particular. How could Oklahoma go about really affecting Texas Tech? And if we're really speaking to Oklahoma's offense against Texas Tech's defense, Oklahoma absolutely holds the advantage. The Sooners come in with the 17th ranked offense in the nation, and as I said prior, Texas Tech boasts the 70th ranked defense in the nation. So advantage Sooners. And specifically when you look at what has hurt Texas Tech, this is very analogous to the video I did about Oklahoma against TCU. When we looked at TCU was a defense that was effective in stopping the pass and at least disrupting a quarterback's rhythm. However, they had no chance at stopping an opponent's run. And Texas Tech is built much the same, unfortunately for them going into this game. Because when we look at what other backs have done to Texas Tech, it's absolutely astounding. When TCU took on the Red Raiders, Zach Evans had 17 carries for 143 yards, 8.4 average yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. His teammate Miller, 12 carries, 185 yards, 15.4 average, 3 touchdowns. And then Bijan Robinson had 137 yards himself. This bodes very well for the Oklahoma Sooners, especially when we've seen the emergence of the run game since Kansas State really taking off since Caleb Williams has come in and added that wrinkle to the offense, the ability for the defense to stay on their heels a little bit more, allowing Oklahoma's running game to open up. Everything has a ripple effect, no matter how small. It's a pond, right? It's just like when you throw a stone in that pond and you see the ripples. That's Caleb's mobility. It had a ripple effect, allowing something to be opened up with much more ease. But Oklahoma can really look to take advantage of this because they have Kennedy Brooks, who's having a fantastic season, Eric Gray, who is supremely talented, and then you have Caleb Williams. When you mix all 3 of those rushing threats, I think that bodes very well for the Oklahoma Sooners, not to mention Marcus Major, who's going to look to come back and make a splash, but also gives the Oklahoma Sooners some depth at that position, something that's much needed. But when you look at the ability for the Sooners running backs to affect the game, not only in the traditional sense of on the ground, we also need to look at what they can do in the passing game, because last week Eric Gray once again showed his effectiveness in that aspect of Oklahoma's offense. And I'm very interested to see if we get any sort of two-back formations where Oklahoma is making the defense respect both Kennedy Brooks' ability on the ground, Eric Gray's ability on the ground, but both of their ability to be a pass-catching back out the backfield. That's going to be something I'm very interested in seeing. Outside of that, I also think Oklahoma has plenty of opportunities to get things done in the passing game, especially if they can get back Mike Woods and Mario Williams, who I absolutely expect could be back in this game and should be back. I haven't seen for sure yet, but I haven't seen any indication that they would be out for this week. So I'm operating under the assumption as of right now that both of those individuals will be back in this game. Getting both of those guys back is going to be huge. Mike Woods has been really good for the Oklahoma Sooners offense. I mean, that young man has had a fantastic year, and he's another example of an individual who hit the transfer portal and is an example of what the transfer portal offers at its best. An opportunity for a talented young man to go somewhere else, showcase his abilities in another system, show everything he has to offer, benefit the institution to which he transfers, but also receive a benefit himself because he's getting the opportunity to really ball out and get supreme coaching at the offensive end of football. That's only going to bode well for him in the future. So he is another individual, like I always say with Jameson Williams, that is kind of the best case scenario of the transfer portal. But now let's look at the flip side. Let's talk about Texas Tech's offense against Oklahoma's defense, because we've become accustomed to Texas Tech having a high-powered offense and scoring at will. That is not this Texas Tech. This Texas Tech comes in with the 37th ranked offense. However, something we need to talk about, and certainly before I say this, injuries have contributed, but this is a little bit deeper than simple injuries. Oklahoma has the 69th ranked defense in the nation right now, and that is not at all what they want to be. Now, like I said, you're really put in a hard position when you have the injuries that they do at the key positions that they do, and then when you look once again at these ripple effects I alluded to earlier in this video, what effect that can have on your defense. Injuries can be huge. But I also think that it isn't just as simple as that, right? Like, there is some level of coaching in this. But at the same time, it's very hard to assign a quantifiable percentage of blame on coaching when you have the injuries they have and you're putting true freshmen out there, talented true freshmen, but true freshmen nonetheless, who are going to have true freshman mistakes. Everybody does. It's only natural. It's going to happen. It's how you learn. They'll be better for it, but those mistakes will happen. So I bring that to you because it's very hard to assign how much of this is coaching, how much of this is simply because Oklahoma's defense has a lot of really key guys injured. It's very tough to assign a quantifiable percentage to either of those. However, because of the situation, I lean more towards they just have a lot of guys who are injured, and it's going to improve once they get back. How much? I'm not quite sure. But Oklahoma's defense could make an absolute statement in this win. They got a little bit pushed around against Kansas, and they really want to come in here and get this victory and do so in a convincing fashion. Oklahoma was held scoreless for the first time under Lincoln Riley in the first half against Kansas. But that really wasn't totally on the offense. The offense wasn't given the opportunity on a consistent basis to even get the ball because Oklahoma's defense could not get off the field. That has got to be something that is not the case this week and not the case moving forward, especially when they start playing teams such as Baylor, Iowa State, Oklahoma State that have really solid defenses. Those are the type of teams that are going to love that problem. But Oklahoma's defense has some guys that could affect this game. When we look at a Nick Bonito, he could get after the quarterback and really make his presence felt. He's had a really solid season. Key Lawrence is really starting to emerge as a key guy in that defense. We talked about him last night on the live stream. If you don't know, I live stream every Monday, 5:30. Would love to have you. Shameless plug right there, but what are you going to do? Oklahoma's defense has some guys emerging, and it's very good they do. Nick Bonito's not emerging by any stretch of the imagination. He's been there, but they have some other guys coming about, and that's really key because they need it. This secondary has been really taken advantage of, and they must get better down the stretch because that's going to be a massive issue entering the playoffs if that doesn't get cleaned up. If Oklahoma wins out and enters the playoffs with the same secondary woes they do now, it's going to be an entirely different conversation. I still hold out a little bit of hope because of the injuries they have, not only in the secondary, but some really key guys along the front that could affect the quarterback and could affect the way the offense is ran. Texas Tech is a big game for the Sooners. It's an opportunity for the offense to correct some of the things that went wrong last week, albeit not all of it was on the offense because they didn't have the ability to have the ball consistently, especially in the first half. Although they still have the opportunity to go out there and correct some mistakes because as Lincoln Riley pointed out after the game, he didn't think the offense played well in the first half. Now, once again, he pointed out it wasn't all on them, but the opportunities they did have weren't taken advantage of. Texas Tech provides an opportunity to right that wrong. They also provide an opportunity for your defense to have a strong performance in a week where they get the bye right after. That is awesome, and you really couldn't ask for much more as an Oklahoma fan. You've been needing this bye, the ability to get guys healthy, but the fact that you get an opponent that you should handle easily, and you should handle in a manner that would be conducive to giving your team confidence right before that bye is really important, especially when you look at the stretch Oklahoma has in the month of November. I mean, those 3 games are going to be very important, not only for the college football playoff, but for the Big 12 championship and for the Oklahoma Sooners as well. This is going to be a really interesting portion of the season. I'm very interested in how Oklahoma comes out against Texas Tech because I do think this game provides them with a unique opportunity going in to a bye week to get healthy, to get confidence entering into the toughest portion of their season. But I'm also very interested in hearing from y'all because I think that there's a way Oklahoma can really affect this game on the ground. I'm very interested to hear how you think Oklahoma's defense will look this Saturday. Hop down to the comments, let me know. That's it. See ya.